Hey, we have some exciting news to share. We have written a book, Polarity, Intelligence, The Missing Logic in Leadership, and it is now available for pre-order on Amazon. Just search for the title of our book, Polarity, Intelligence, The Missing Logic in Leadership, and pre-order your copy today. As listeners of our podcast, you know we have been using the principles of a polarity mindset, healthy relationships, and meaningful dialogue as leaders for decades. And as business partners, these principles are the cornerstone of our business. Polarities are all around us, even in us, and if you can't recognize them and don't know how to leverage them, they will haunt you. They will keep showing up as persistent problems you are unable to solve. For us, having this knowledge compels us to share it with leaders around the world. We believe the polarization in our homes, schools, communities, and world would shift if every leader became polarity intelligent. We can't wait for you to read our book. Pre-order your copy of Polarity Intelligence, The Missing Logic in Leadership on Amazon.com now.
This is the True Leader Podcast, formerly known as Healthcare's Missing Logic Podcast. Today, we talk about the interdependent relationship between entrepreneurship and leadership and how to do both well. Stay tuned. Welcome to the True Leader Podcast. I'm Dr. Tracy Christofferson.
And I'm Michelle Trosett.
We are life and business besties, leadership coaches and mentors, and polarity intelligence experts. We're the authors of Polarity Intelligence, The Missing Logic in Leadership, and co-founders of Missing Logic.
We are here to help high-achieving leaders break through leadership norms that cause them suffering at work and home. If you're looking to elevate your leadership, increasing your productivity, effectiveness, and impact, and manage your health and well-being, spend quality time with those you love, and live your best life, then you are in the right place.
Our goal in this podcast is to equip you with new ways of thinking and practical and tactical strategies for succeeding at work and thriving in life. Think of this podcast as your weekly dose of personal and professional development so you can reach your full leadership potential, create a life you love, and be what we are calling a thriving, resilient, and unstoppable or true leader.
If you are ready to learn and laugh a little, let's get started. We're rolling. Well, welcome to another episode of the True Leader Podcast. I am Michelle.
And I'm Tracy.
We're back with you again today, and we're very excited about our topic today.
We are. We're very excited.
In fact, we were just talking about it. We were so excited talking about it. We're like, get that camera rolling. Get that.
That's right. Well, we've got experience in both the things we're talking about today. Because we're talking about entrepreneurship. We can get that word out of our mouths. That'll be a miracle. And leadership. And we've got experience in both.
Yes, we do. We do. And there's a lot going on right now, and we're like in the middle of both right now in different ways, right?
Yeah, right. We are.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a business that we started, and we are growing, and it's evolving, and there's a lot of changes happening with that because of our growth and expansion. And so we're in that entrepreneurial bubble, trying to do the things to have a successful, thriving business. And then we kind of stepped out there as leaders too.
Yes. We wrote a book on leadership, as a matter of fact.
Did.
Polarity Intelligence, The Missing Logic in Leadership. And we wanted to bring what we've been learning about being a leader and having polarity intelligence to leaders everywhere. So that's exciting.
Yeah. We got a lot going on. We do. We have a lot going on, and we're rocking it. So we're going to tell you a little bit about how you do these things, both of these things at the same time. That's what we're going to talk about, because we are both leaders and entrepreneurs.
We are.
And, there are some people that think, entrepreneurship and leadership is synonymous. I mean, they really see them as the same. And then, on the other side of the coin are individuals who recognize there's very different attributes to both, and that they're not the same, that they are actually different. And there's actually in the literature, as we were kind of studying up and reading a little bit more about this, bringing that as well as our own experience today, there's a new theory, entrepreneur leader theory that now is kind of starting to emerge in the literature as well, right? So, and that is really kind of this blend of both, the entrepreneur leader. And the definition, one of the definitions for that entrepreneur leader that I found was it's the art of leading a group to victory by assisting its members in recognizing and seizing opportunities for innovation. I thought that was really
I like that.
quite fitting, actually, because it has leading a team, a group,
Yes.
to victory, which is all about success, which whether you're an entrepreneur or leader, you want to be successful. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then assisting the members in recognizing and seizing opportunities for innovation. And that's what entrepreneurs do, right? They're all about the innovation, about opportunities, about seizing the moment. So and then you have a team and a group that you're moving towards it. That's really kind of the leadership part. I thought that was pretty good.
I do too. I love it.
Yeah. Awesome.
I can relate to it.
I can too.
I can relate
and maybe
to
some
it.
of you can as well.
Yes. So what Tracy and I are really interested in is the interdependency of these two as well.
Oh.
Entrepreneur, leader, and the entrepreneur and the leader, and how they both relate, and leveraging both, and to become that entrepreneurial leader. So you have to have both in order to obtain your objectives or your vision. And that's what excites us, is that it's an and in both.
Yeah. Well, it's about the relationship.
Yes.
One of the things that we've learned, right? There's a lot of different kinds of relationships between different elements, right?
Yes.
But when you have that interdependent
Yes.
relationship, that means they're bound together. You can't separate them, right? Like it's not an either or. And like it said in the description, they both have characteristics. I mean, there's different things, right, about both, but you got to have them both.
You have to have both.
In some
right.
regard. Yeah.
You do. So let's just kind of take a step back and think about what we've learned personally about being entrepreneurs and leaders. And I know when we were planning for this, I got to thinking, like we are entrepreneurs, but, if you would have told me, I don't know, if you would have told me when I was 10, I was going to be an entrepreneur someday, I wouldn't have believed you.
Oh, me either.
Oh, yeah. Because it's kind of what you grew up with, right? So I grew up in a family where it was highly valued that you got a great education and you got a great job so you could provide for your family. And that was just what I grew up with. I didn't have any entrepreneurs. Actually, when I look at pretty much my whole family, I don't think there's even, extended beyond my family. There really wasn't an entrepreneurial spirit. No one owns companies or runs enterprises or anything like that. So that's kind of where I came from.
Yeah. And I came from a General Motors family.
Yeah.
So there you go. 30 and out, right? 30 and out. That was the, get in early, 30 and out. My brother,
yes,
30 and out, he retired at the age of 40. 45. So he was started right out of school.
We weren't even starting our business at that age.
I know. So, he got in right out of high school and then he got a deal and he was out. And, but just something I just crossed my mind because I was so little, but my dad owned his own gas station.
Oh.
Now, I think probably wasn't successful, and that's why he never talked about being an entrepreneur. But it just occurred to me. I mean, I was knee high I was tiny, 2-3 years old when he was in that endeavor. But it just, I just hadn't even really thought about that until just now. But but otherwise, no, it was, and then for me, it was go to school, right? Go to college, get a good job, just like you, right? And that's kind of what we were indoctrinated with.
Right.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we've been reflecting on this, and our story is we were leaders before we were entrepreneurs. And we're very grateful that we had the leadership experiences we've had in our families and in our professional life, because they both have impacted how we are as entrepreneurs. So that's really significant. And, it just has helped us know how to balance the two, because we didn't just jump in entrepreneurship without a strong foundation of being leaders in our life first.
Well, thank goodness.
Thank goodness.
Because we didn't know anything about being an entrepreneur, obviously. And we jumped in with both feet, right? Like right up to our heads. And, I think one of the hardest things you'll ever do is be an entrepreneur.
I totally agree.
I mean, it is not a cakewalk, folks. And you are risking a lot when you do this. And it takes a lot of stamina and determination. And I don't think we would have done it if we hadn't been leaders, right? And hadn't had that strong faith and belief in ourselves and what our message and what we had to offer, and had experiences in leadership. I think that really made the difference.
It made
for
a
us.
big difference.
We probably would have quit without it. I'm telling you, it's like a roller coaster.
It is.
I mean, really, honestly, it's like a roller coaster. And you have really high highs and you have some lows, right? And some low lows, right? But you just keep moving and you keep moving and you keep moving. And, we're dedicated and committed.
And you'll never reach the pinnacle if you quit.
No.
So that when you have to have an entrepreneurial spirit, because if you don't, you'll quit.
Yeah, right. You're taking risks. You got to be a risk taker too.
You do.
You got to be bold, right? So there are a lot of characteristics you got to embody, which we're working on. But anyway, really, so the challenge here overall is that you want to have a successful, thriving business, right? Or, whether even, organization or small business, it doesn't really matter. That's the ultimate goal. Well, you want to be successful, you want to thrive, and you want to be competitive and sustainable, right? And so it's important to leverage both this entrepreneurial spirit, entrepreneurship, as well as leadership. And for us, this is really about being polarity intelligent because it is a both and polarities, right, are interdependent relationships, need each other over time to get to that greater purpose. And in this case, the greater purpose is that thriving, competitive, successful business. And you have to be able to get the best out of both to do that, right?
Right.
Yeah. And so it is the both and entrepreneurs don't always see themselves as leaders, and leaders don't always see themselves as entrepreneurs, or sometimes at all, right? But it's the attributes of both that produce those sustainable outcomes, right? And it helps you to get to that successful, thriving business. But without the attributes of both, without the positive outcomes you get from holding both in tension with each other, is the thing that drives you up, towards that. That's the polarity leveraging piece, right? And the strengths of those are really necessary on an ongoing basis, but you'll emphasize one more than the other depending on what the situation or the circumstances are. So it's dynamic. You got to kind of go with the flow.
Just like any other polarity.
Yeah, you got to go with the flow. So let's just talk a little bit about entrepreneurial attributes. Entrepreneurial attributes. So this is somebody who establishes and runs an enterprise or business of some sort. They recognize and respond to mistakes. They capitalize on opportunities. They adapt to different circumstances. They have a vision for how to leverage the opportunity, and they kind of look for the gaps, right? They're always looking for the gaps, looking for that opportunity. Assessing the risk, solving problems. They're great problem solvers because most of what they create or develop is in the effort to solve some kind of problem that people have or organizations have. They're always challenging the status quo, that innovative, creative, doesn't have to be done like that. What if we did it this way? I mean, just think about Apple, right? Like,
such a great example.
And they're resilient and they're very passionate about what they're doing. And again, they just identify those opportunities and create a vision around how to take advantage of it, of how to lean into it, right? Into the opportunity.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's really what the entrepreneurial has. And we have all that.
We do.
We've been developing it.
And equally as important is leadership attributes. And as Tracy mentioned earlier, I was reflecting on this, that some entrepreneurs don't see themselves as leaders. And actually, we were with a group of about 400 entrepreneurs. And when they found out we were doing work with leadership, one of the leaders or one of the head of that said, well, a lot of entrepreneurs don't see themselves as leaders. And we were like, what? Because that's what we know, right? You need an and in both. And this is why. So the reason you have to be a leader right along with being an entrepreneur is that it really leads people. So as you grow your company, grow your enterprise, you have to be able to lead people, unify people. Teamwork is critical. Those efficiencies and the relationships so you can grow your team. And so leadership skills are what comes into place in that way. Motivating people, keeping spirits high, keeping the inspiration of reminding people when the going gets tough, remember why we're doing this. And you have to keep your eye on the vision and to provide the direction and purpose takes leadership, inspiring others to work together towards that shared purpose and always keeping that in front of you. So you have to have the leadership attributes right along with the entrepreneurial attributes. And then leaders can become entrepreneurs, within their organization. And they also can step into entrepreneurship when, responding to opportunities with the environment, or you just see those opportunities when you're a leader. I think more so than when you're not a leader, right?
Right. And I think there are some individuals that are going to be, lean more into the attributes and characteristics of the entrepreneur. I mean, they're more entrepreneurial,
Yes.
right? And then there are other people that are more leader oriented.
Yes.
And so there can be an entrepreneurial leader, but you may not be one of them. And I think that's okay. It's to recognize then who do I help complement me that has the leadership skills?
Yes.
If I'm the entrepreneur and that's where my preference is, right? That's where I am strongest, then I need to partner with a leader, right? So it doesn't even have to be one person. It can be a combination of people that are moving this forward, right? But it can be one. So it all depends on what your natural affinities are, what your strengths are, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And so let's just talk a little bit about entrepreneurship and the positive outcomes of that. One is, again, creating that, profitable business, right? That enterprise and, filling the gaps, finding the opportunities, taking advantage of the opportunities to create something new and innovative that can fill that gap. Taking calculated risks, because entrepreneurship is all about risk. You're risking a lot when you start a business or an enterprise, or even if you're, developing a product within an organization, like you're being entrepreneurial, you're taking risks, right, around that. And then creative and innovative ideas. They are all about the opportunities, all about creation, very very innovative by nature, I think, when it comes to seeing those gaps, seeing those opportunities, and then just having that vision, like an automatic, this is what it needs to be kind of a thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. And there's so many positive attributes of leadership as well in this dynamic, and that is establishing a positive work culture. Like you have to have leadership skills to do that, and be that leader to do that, and then the vision and the direction for people. That just takes an inspirational leader at the helm to, again, remind people of the vision, keep that positivity within the organization or within your work team, and then be influential in influencing others, and being the connector of why this is so important. So there's a lot of positive attributes or outcomes of the leadership role as well. And if you don't maintain that balance, then you're going to see the negative consequences. They're going to show up. So if you overemphasize the leadership to the neglect of the entrepreneurial, then it's going to be difficult to maintain consistent direction. You can get off to an excited start.
Oh, yeah.
But you'll eventually experience swaying in the direction that you intended to go originally. You're going to see constant evolution, and you're going to lack the lack of recognition of risks because you're not taking enough risks. So you're going to end up not getting the outcomes that you want as an entrepreneur, and you're going to make costly mistakes because you're missing opportunities, right?
Right, for sure. Sure. Yeah. And then if you overemphasize the entrepreneurship, well, you can end up with a toxic culture. So, entrepreneurs tend to want to be the one, do the thing. It's me. I can handle it. And when it's all about you and not about the team, then the culture begins to slide, right?
Yep.
You're not
Yep.
fostering those relationships.
Yep.
You're not creating a safe environment where people can really shine and bring their own gifts and strengths. So it can turn toxic. The other is a lack of vision and direction. So when I say that, I mean for the long term is you have a vision for how whatever it is that you're creating or how your innovation fills the opportunity or, fills the gap. But over the long haul, somebody has to maintain the vision for the ongoing success of the business and what needs to come next. And so when you're over focused, that doesn't necessarily happen because you're just in the short term of let's get this up and running. Let's get this enterprise moving, right? And then unmotivated or uninspired people. So when you're in the entrepreneurial spirit, too heavily, then you're really mostly task focused, task oriented, getting the work done, hitting the milestones, not so much about the relationships, the team development, the culture development. And that's where you can really get into trouble, with uninspired people. And uninspired people don't do their best work.
Nope.
Which ultimately impacts, right, the outcomes that you get and the success of your business. So let's go back kind of like talking about this entrepreneurial leader. And we know it can be more than one person or it can be one person. So kind of keep that in mind as we kind of talk through the attributes of this person and kind of what they embody. It is this balance of both entrepreneurship and leadership. Again, it's this polarity of the benefits of both, which we just talked about, the positive outcomes that you can get, what happens when you overemphasize. So it's that balance between the two and leveraging, understanding that this is an interdependent relationship, and then understanding that you need healthy relationships as a foundation, and you need to be engaging in meaningful dialogue with the people that are moving your effort forward, right? Whether you're the leader or the entrepreneur or one in the same. And so it's really about leveraging the creative, innovative thinking to address the challenges, to take the calculated risks, to have strong skills, right, in innovation and motivation and teamwork and communication. So it's a combination of all of these things kind of coming together. And then the ability to identify and capitalize on those opportunities so the business can succeed and provide direction and that motivation for employees, maximizing the resources, really kind of developing the individuals in the organization to move things forward, to continue to be creative. And we actually, had some experience with this with our mentor.
Yes, we did. She's just a living example and has been a great pattern for us to follow. And so our mentor is Bonnie Wisorek, and we watched her go from a strong leader within an organization to an entrepreneur, where she started a professional practice model within an organization because we're from healthcare. That's our background. And she just knew there was a better way. She saw the innovation that was right in front of her to create workplaces that were really worthy for the individuals that provided care and for the patients that received it. So she kind of rolled up her sleeve. She got internal support. She made her case. She just began moving in this entrepreneurial space, started making a difference, then formed a partnership with the hospital where she was at, and then eventually went off on her own and owned her own company. And we were with her all along that journey. So it's just a great example of both, of taking strong leadership, but also seeing an opportunity and moving into that entrepreneurial space. And she also did both very well.
She's a master.
She was a master at it.
She was a master. She started with strong leadership skills.
Yes.
And I think, recognizing that, it could be not only a better work environment, but that the clinicians needed the tools to fully live their scope of practice, to deliver care to the best, right, of their ability. Yeah. And so she created tools and infrastructures and processes, but she never did it alone. She always embodied and embraced
Yes.
other individuals. She brought teams together. She tapped into other leaders inside and outside of healthcare. So she was very much about teamwork and about inspiration and motivation, and helping people to bring their perspective. It was very open to others' perspectives and
Always.
always tapped into the collective wisdom and knowledge to grow and evolve the model over 20 years.
Yeah.
And it ended up being in hundreds of hospitals across North America, and thousands of clinicians leveraged that. And she ran the business at one point and was the leader out in the field, inspiring individuals and really embracing the model. So she was a great role model for us. And so she kind of did the entrepreneur to entrepreneur and was a leader all the way along.
Yeah. So she was an inspiration for us. That's for sure.
Always has been, always will be.
one of her favorite lines, and I think about it often. And sometimes when we run up against a challenge, I always think about, she always said, let's just put our heads together, right? Because you may not be able to see the whole picture. And if you come together, that really helps as well. That's just one of many, but it just came to me.
Yeah.
Let's put our heads together.
Let's put our heads together. Let's figure it out.
Yeah, let's figure it out.
She's awesome. Thank you, Bonnie, for all those years of inspiration.
Yes.
And so here's the call to action. And again, remember, whether you think you are an entrepreneur leader, right, in one, like we are, or whether you're an entrepreneur and you know you need leadership, or you're a leader and you want an entrepreneur, like you got an idea, but maybe you don't have the entrepreneurial spirit to move it forward. Could go either way. Here's some things to really be thinking about to balance the entrepreneur and the leader, or entrepreneurship and leadership. And so first is really distributing responsibility and delegating. Okay, that's really, really important. Entrepreneurs tend to hold on to stuff, right? And leaders can kind of take that as well.
Yes,
they kind of like to move things forward themselves as well. So it really is about delegating and sharing responsibility, and then empowering others. That's so, so important. It can really help. Like, you know, like Bonnie did, like, let's put our heads together. That empowered all of us to bring our wisdom and our knowledge to the process, leveraging the principles of healthy relationships. Really, that's just about, being intentional in your relationships with each other. It's about having kind of a soul connection. This is a deep relationship. And really working towards a shared purpose. It's all about being in relationship with each other at a deep level to move something forward in the sense of shared purpose and the achievement of that purpose. Expanding perspectives through meaningful dialogue. So it's engaging everybody, right? Well, not everybody, but at different times, different groups of people in dialogue that can help you deepen your understanding about a situation or an opportunity, really growing and leveraging that knowledge as well. Learning from each other, taking the learning much deeper than you can alone. And strong communication skills. Oh, can't underestimate those, right? You got to have the communication skills, not only to communicate even as an entrepreneur, you got to be able to communicate your ideas, your vision, your strategy for other people, your progress, right? And as leaders, you got to be able to communicate what that vision is and keep people motivated and help them to understand what the situation is and how you're moving forward. And then balance. There's a couple additional polarities here to balance. One is the balance between directive and participative decision making. So that is really key.
Yes.
There are some things that have to be decided and that are in a more hierarchical kind of a way, but then it is about the collaborative. It's about the collective shared decision making and those things that really can be shared and require additional input. And then the last is tasks and relationships. So that's a big one to balance. Tasks have to get done, but not to the exclusion of the relationships, because you'll do better with the tasks if you have strong, healthy relationships too, right? So those are the calls to actions, the tacks you can take to really leverage this interdependent relationship between entrepreneurship and leadership.
Yeah. We hope you found this very insightful, because obviously we like talking about it and we like sharing our experience. And we're surrounded by leaders every day. So we really are excited to share this with you today. And we want to thank you. We really appreciate you being here. We appreciate you listening to our podcast. If you enjoyed it, please share it with others. If you enjoyed it, someone else will as well. And please subscribe so you don't miss an episode. That's the great thing about podcasts is when you subscribe, you get to see every new one that comes along. And if you prefer video, watch us on our YouTube channel. You get to see us live not live, recorded in the studio. And we just want you to stay safe and healthy. And until next time,
we'll see you.
We'll see you.